How are we doing, guys? LUFC, Crystal Palace 4, Leeds United 1, post-match review of the game. It's another frustrating one, guys, isn't it? There's no other really real way of putting it. It's a second 4-1 defeat in a matter of days. And look, I know we're in the big leagues now. We all know we're in the big leagues now. We're under no illusions. There's going to be days like this. But I think that today is one where there's a bit more concern to it. Because for me, Crystal Palace, look, they played well today. They've got some really good players in that team. Wilfred Zaha, Eberici Eze, you know what quality they've got. Townsend, Ayew, again, really good players. We know they've got quality, but for me, I look at Crystal Palace. Despite having that quality, they're not particularly a front foot team. They have the least possession in the league so far this season. I think they've got the least shots as well so far this season in the game. And I'm not using that to have a go at Crystal Palace. I'm just saying that they're not a particularly attack-minded team. They don't score a lot of goals. So to concede 4 goals against them is a bit of a concern. And look, I don't want to go back to the start of the season, but of course we had that game against Fulham where we conceded 3 goals. And that's a slight concern that we are giving away goals too easily. I think Sheffield United have still conceded the most goals, or we might have now conceded the most goals. Either way, defensively, there's work that needs doing. I'm going to go on to that later on in the review. There's no doubts. There's work that needs doing defensively. There's no doubts that teams are finding it easy at the minute to sit in, let us have over 60% of the ball, and counter-attack us. There's no doubts that's a lot of what teams are trying to do against us this season. I think since we beat Aston Villa, I think teams have looked at it and thought, okay, if we go toe-to-toe with Leeds, they're going to out-press us, they're going to outrun us, they're going to out-pass us. We're not going to win the game that way. I think teams are accepting we're going to have a lot of the ball. And I think they're just going to try and make it as difficult for us to play through them. And then if we win the ball back, they can hit us on the counter because we commit so many people for our forwards. And that's what we've got to accept this season. We've got to show that we can adapt to that. We know Marcelo Bielsa will. Marcelo Bielsa always finds a way. That's what he's done for the last 2 years at this football club. He's always found a way. At the minute, it looks difficult. It does look difficult, when you've lost 4-1 to a team that's been struggling to score goals for the last 2 years, to be fair. And that's a concern, really. I just thought this was a game where we just didn't start well. We just didn't start this game well at all. First 10 minutes or so, I've made loads of notes on the game once again. I'm going to refer to them all, kind of analysis on the match. And just the first 10 minutes, I thought we just weren't quite at it. I think it was a really scrappy first 10 minutes. I don't think either team could sort of string 2 or 3 passes together. And it was just really, really sloppy, really. And there wasn't really much to that first 10 minutes. It was a sort of a start to a championship game almost. And to be fair, the only team that was ever going to suit out of the 2 teams that played today was Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace like that. Crystal Palace like it to be scrappy. They're not a team that looks to play 50, 60 passes of the game in midfield, move the ball into the full-backs, and have a real clear passing the play in open play. They're very direct. They're very direct. They're transition heavy. They're dangerous on the counter. That suited them. The ball being turned over loads, all just getting a little bit frustrated, pushing people forward, starting to force things. And that was really suited Palace the first sort of 10 minutes or so. And look, it wasn't just down for that 10 minutes, but it sort of set the tone, really. I'm not saying Palace were brilliant in that 10 minutes, because they weren't. But for me, I know this. Everyone knows how this Leeds team is going to play. Not just us fans, not just anyone associated with Leeds United. Rival fans know what this Leeds team is about. It's going to be an on-the-ball team. It wants to play on the front foot. It doesn't matter if it's got 10 men, if it's playing in a Champions League final. It doesn't matter. This Leeds team wants to play the same way any game at any given moment. It wants to play the same way on the front foot, and that's what this Leeds team is going to be about. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I have no criticism at all about this Leeds United team on the ball at the moment. I have no criticism for it, because we know what this Leeds team can do. Look, today against Leicester, we weren't brilliant on the ball, but we do the right things. We try and play with the ball. We play on the front foot. And there's a lot about this Leeds team on the ball. We've obviously got Rodrigo missing. Rafinha's, still coming into the team. Which, Rafinha, what a player he is, to be fair. I'll go on to that in a second as well. And, there's a lot about this Leeds team on the ball. But off the ball, there's a bit of a concern at the moment. I think we're top of the league in terms of goals conceded at the moment. And, I'll go on to that as well in a second. But, obviously to concede early is disappointing. To concede early is really, really disappointing. And especially from a set piece. Look at it. I don't think the set pieces have been a massive problem for us so far. I think obviously Liverpool, since then, I think we've responded really well. Obviously against Liverpool, all 4 goals we conceded were from set pieces. And we really struggled with it against Liverpool. But I think since then we've reacted quite well. But for me, I think you look at Robin Koch at the moment. I think on the goal, Robin Koch, Liam Cooper, I'm not really sure what either of them are trying to do. It's kind of they're both in kind of Scott Dan's kind of area, and neither of them really commands it. I think Robin Koch is probably the one who's marking Scott Dan by the looks of things. But again, it's disappointing. Robin Koch loses the header. Really look at Robin Koch, 6'3". That's the third time now in 8 games where Robin Koch has lost a header that's led to a goal. Virgil van Dijk on the first day of the season, Jamie Vardy for the second goal the other night, and this game as well. And you know how much I like Robin Koch, but at the moment I'm looking at it and thinking, he's not being aggressive enough in those situations. He's 6'3". You can't let Jamie Vardy win a header against you. Really? And then there's been other situations as well, and I really do rate Robin Koch as a player, but for me, he's got to be a bit nastier for me. He's got to be a bit nastier in those situations. Liam Cooper as well. I don't want to single out individuals. It's not what I want to do, but for me, it's not just those two. As a team, I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive and wiser in those situations. A lot of teams, it's just one of those things. I just think we just need to be wiser as a team, a bit more aggressive, and just stop those situations from occurring. The thing is, at this level, if you're not aggressive in the air, it's going to become a problem. You've got the delivery of Kevin De Bruyne, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ziyech, etc., etc. Every single team at this level has got a specialist set-piece taker. It's a big, big source of goals. And we've got to find aggression now in those situations, and it comes from the two centre-backs, both over 6 foot, both got to command those situations. And for me, that goal we conceded in that first goal is poor. Neither of them really commanded it. They've not got close enough to Scott Dan. And it's an avoidable goal for me, that one. It's a good header, to be fair, but it's a disappointing goal to concede, that one. And for it to happen for a third time in 8 games, you'd have to like to think that Marcelo is probably pulling Robin Koch to one side and just really working on that side of his game. Because I think everything else about Robin Koch is okay. Well, in fact, it's more than okay. It's really good at his best. I think obviously the last 2 games has probably been more like his first 2 games at Leeds. It's been quite a strange start to Robin Koch's career, but for me, I've seen enough positive signs from Robin Koch to say that he's a defender that's going to do really well for us this season. I still 100% believe that. But that's an element of his game that he's going to have to start working on, because set pieces, crosses into the box, big source of goals for teams against us. Big source of goals for teams against us at the moment, and we've got to solve that one. So to concede early is disappointing, but we respond well. And that's when the frustrating start for the afternoon sort of really starts to kick in. It's a goal. Patrick Bamford scores. Patrick Bamford scores to make it 1-1. You can talk to me about VAR, whatever those 4, whatever they are, whatever technically their job titles are in that studio. I don't know how they've decided that's gone to VAR at all. I don't know. I don't know what football is about at the moment, really. You look at Jordan Pickford against Virgil van Dijk a couple of weeks ago. Nearly, he's put Virgil van Dijk out for the season. He's had no retrospective ban. Didn't get sent off on the day just because Virgil van Dijk was offside. I mean, where's the common sense gone from football these days? But for me, you look at it and think the change to the rule. Look, I know the rules are the rules, but where's the common sense gone in football anymore? And it's just such a blow for us. And I'm not going to make excuses, because we weren't good enough today, and I'm going to go off that subject. I think if this had been 2-1, 3-2, a closer game, I could go on about this a bit more, but I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I'm not going to go on about this too much. I'm really annoyed about it, because for me, it's not just about today. It's not just about today. There'll be other times this season, for not just Leeds United, where that situation will arise. A through ball's played in, the striker tries to time his run. Patrick Bamford can't score with his arm, and I promised I won't go on about it. I kind of just have done then for 2 or 3 minutes. I'll move on, guys. I'll move on. But yeah, look, it's disappointing, isn't it? And obviously the second goal goes in, and for me, it's poor again off Robin Koch. He's dived in. He's given a free kick in a really dangerous area. A really dangerous area. He's got caught flat-footed. He's got kind of put himself in a situation where he's charged out so much out of his box. He's had to make the tackle, otherwise, I think it was Eze who was on the ball. We'll just skip past him and have a clear shot on goal, and we concede the free kick in a really dangerous area. Eze, there's a lot of... You can't give specialist set-piece takers free kicks in those areas. We might get away with it in the Championship, but at this level, a lot of investment is put into set pieces. A lot of investment is put into set pieces. A lot of time on the training ground is put into set pieces. You can't give away cheap set pieces at this level. And we're 2 down to 2 set pieces, and it's so disappointing. So disappointing. I didn't think we deserved to be 2 down at that stage of the game, But it was one of those things. The goal we got, though, absolutely class, absolute quality. Click and Bamford linking up again. Bamford takes it on his chest, and it's a superb finish. Superb finish off Paddy Bamford, and he's took his two chances of the game. Ultimately, only one of them counted. So, 2-1 down at that stage, we started to fight back, And we had a half an hour similar to that half an hour against Leicester, but again, we played really well. We played really well in that sort of half an hour. We started to take control of the game. Struijk and Click linked up nicely in the midfield. We were moving the ball around nicely, and we looked fine. At that stage, we were talking about on the watch-along about, is this going to be another Villa moment? We go 2 down early doors. We show a good bit of fight back to make it 2-1. Some changes at half-time. We'll get back into this, and we could even go on to win it. We certainly didn't think at that stage we were going to lose the game. I didn't feel like at that stage of the game. We're really starting to move the ball into dangerous areas. If you want to be critical, and to be fair, it's a perfectly fair criticism, the end product, the final pass just wasn't quite right. But again, as I said at the start of the video, I like what this Leeds team does with the ball. I'm not going to criticise that, because this Leeds team is fantastic to watch. I'm not going to change my view on that just because we've lost 2 games 4-1. We've played some really good football in periods of both games where we've really camped, and played the ball in their half of the pitch and dominated moments of the game. But again, it's just moments at the moment. We're not really stringing it all together. And obviously, the third goal happens. The third goal's unlucky. I've criticised Helder Costa on the watch-along, but watching it back, it's just unlucky. It's unlucky. I think if you want to be critical of anyone, it's probably Ilan Meslier. You could say, he's not expecting it, but can he be a bit quicker there to see the situation developing? Who knows? But I don't know. I'm not really massively critical there. The third goal is just one of those things. It's one of those things. It summed up our day at that moment. And to go in at 3-1 down at half-time is a blow. It's a blow, but still at 3-1. That was where it really disappointed me. I'm just going to look at my notes here. Have I missed anything out here that I wanted to talk about? And look, we moved the ball okay in that first half, but the second half, completely unacceptable. And I'll go that far. It was completely unacceptable. I don't care where we are on the table. I like what we've done so far this season, but this is the match review of this match. And in this match, in that second half, it was simply unacceptable. I can't accept what I saw in that second half. And, we let it drift. We let it drift. I think we sort of did the same thing against Leicester at 2 down. We let the game drift a little bit. We didn't really change anything. Obviously Rafinha came on. Rafinha gave us a little bit more directness on the right-hand side, but we didn't get the ball to him. We only gave the ball a couple of times to Rafinha. We were still trying to attack down the left-hand side, even though Rafinha had the beating of Van Aanholt on the left, and we were causing a few problems on that right-hand side. Rafinha, Dallas were linking up quite nicely. We just didn't really... everyone was taking 3 or 4 touches when at that stage of the game, we're trying to just force our way back into it. We're 3-1 down. 3-1's very different to 2-1. At 2-1, we can be patient. We know we're going to get a chance. But at 3-1, you've got to start going a little bit more direct. And we're trying to, I'm not saying go with long ball, but more 1-touch, 2-touch. It was only really Struijk and Click doing it. But again, Struijk and Click went sloppy in that second half, in all honesty. Everyone went sloppy in that second half. I think only Rafinha was probably the only player who can kind of lift his head up high from that second half, really. It was just a nothing performance in that second half, really. We just had nothing about us, either on or off the ball, and it was really disappointing and surprising, to see that second half, the way it kind of happened. And we just let it drift in the sense that we didn't, there was nothing really there. I never really felt like, oh, we're going to score here at some point. And it was complete opposite of the first half almost. And it was just surprising to see it from that sense. And, look, was it a 4-1 game, this game? No, it wasn't. Was Leicester City a 4-1 game? No, it wasn't. But that's largely irrelevant to me. If we lost both games 2-1, we still have 0 points. The thing is, for me, both games we deserve to lose. We didn't do enough over the 90 minutes to get a result from them. And that's just my totally honest opinion. And for me, look, there weren't 4-1 games. But at this level, teams are going to be clinical. Teams are clinical at this level. If you give up chances, you're going to concede from 75% of them, roughly. They're a clinical team, Palace. Leicester are a clinical team. And that's what we've got to face now this season, And it's what we've got to accept. And, it's just such a disappointment, that second half for me, that, we had the players on that pitch, Rafinha, Harrison, both out wide. Aylan, we know how good Aylan is going forward, Click, etc, etc. And I know we've got players missing. Look, having players missing is a massive blow. Rodrigo, for me, is arguably one of our best players. KP, arguably one of our best players. In fact, I would make the argument Phillips is possibly our best player. You know, we've got that many good players at this football club at the moment, and it's a blow. Look, it is a blow, but I'm not going to make it an excuse that we've lost 8-2 on aggregate these last 2 games on missing players. You know, it'd be naive for me to say that, to be fair, but I'm not going to say it's not made a difference. It has made a little bit of a difference as well. I think maybe, you know, the players that have come in just haven't done the job, the fringe players, and for me, I don't think any of those fringe players can really knock on Bielsa's door and ask to start games, if I'm being totally honest, and that's the big disappointment, because last season, when the fringe players came in, they did a job. You know, you saw Berwick went in at centre-back for Coops or White whenever they were injured. He did a great job. You know, we saw that last season, and just little bits and examples like that, you know, and it's just frustrating. I'm not really seeing that at the minute this season. You know, I think the fringe players aren't really making any real difference when they come in. You know, Douglas last season when he came in at left back made the odd difference. I'm not saying those players are going to make a difference to this team. I'm just using it as an example. We're not quite seeing those performances from the fringe players. It very much feels like the 11 players on the pitch are the ones who are going to do the job for us at the minute. The main 11 players on the pitch, you know, our strongest 11 is what's going to do the job at the moment, and that's disappointing. You know, it is really disappointing. But you know, I don't really know. You know, look at that Leicester game. That Leicester game for me, it was quite clear what has gone wrong. You know, why we lost that game so heavily. We went for a single pivot, Click playing in the KP role. It just didn't work. You know, Maddison came on, he twisted and turned, Click a couple of times. We didn't really have that cover. They played through our press quite easily because we didn't have 2 players protecting the back 4. But in this game, we did have 2 players protecting the back 4. You know, we played Click in the same kind of position where we had Struick alongside him, and it didn't work. And I can't really say specifically where it went wrong, because we know how good our defenders are individually. You know, Ayling 1v1 is fine. Koch 1v1 has shown he's fine. Obviously, Coops hasn't had a great start to the season. Well, for me, I still wouldn't say there's any obvious weaknesses in that back 4. I still wouldn't say that just yet. I just don't know where it's specifically gone wrong, really. You know, I just think as a team we need to defend better. You know, and it's just so frustrating. And it's not even a case of Meslier's doing poorly and we're conceding 17 goals in 8 games. Meslier's actually done well so far this season. So for me, you know, it's not sort of like last season when we started conceding goals. Casilla was making mistakes. He was throwing the ball into his own net pretty much every single game. You know, we had the problem at left back last season for long periods of last season. But this season, it's not really specifically that. You know, I think Koch and Ayling, for me especially, you know, right up to the Villa game, would have been contenders for our best players so far this season. So for me, you know, I think it's just that structurally we've got to change things around a little bit for me. And going after, you know, after the international break, we have to probably change things around a little bit. But do we need that extra protection? We saw it today. It didn't really work. You know, Struick and Click. You know, obviously Phillips, you know, is a far more accomplished player than Pascal Struick right now. But we didn't see it work, did we? We didn't see it work having that double pivot. And maybe that isn't the solution. Maybe it's just we need to assess, is man-to-man marking the best option? Do we need to double up on people like Wilfred Zaha, Harvey Barnes, and leave the least dangerous player on the pitch for the opposition free to an extent? Do we need to man mark in that sort of way? Bielsa will find a solution. I've no doubt about that. Marcelo Bielsa will find a solution to this. He's done it for the last 2 years. We've had poor runs before. We've bounced back. You know, we have done. You know, let's not deny that, because that is the case. I'm arguing myself now. That's how long this week's been. I'm now arguing myself on an Leeds TV video. That's a new one, anyway, guys. But look, I am seeing a lot of people question Bielsa. And look, it is fair to say, why have we conceded the most goals this season when we've had among the highest possession stats? It's clear now, just from that sentence alone, conceding the most goals so far this season with kind of the 3rd or 4th highest possession counts in the whole league, shows that a lot of teams are going to play that way now. A lot of teams are going to play that way. Arsenal might play that way the next game. Everton might play that way the next game. It's an obvious weakness for us, and we've got to start finding a solution to it. And I'm not sure specifically what the solution is, but I've no doubt Marcelo Bielsa will find it. He tried something different today. He tried the double pivot. He tried the formation change. It didn't work. He'll try something new. And yeah, you know, it's a combination of things. But let's not lose sight of the fact we're doing okay at the minute. We are doing okay. 14th in the table, 10 points from 8, 7 points as it stands above the relegation zone. I think we'd have all taken that at this stage of the season. I think we'd all taken that. And it has been a good start to the season. Let's not doubt that for 1 second. And I just looked at it today, and when I say we let the game drift a little bit at 3-1, no one really took the initiative other than Rafinha, and even Rafinha didn't see a lot of the ball, and it didn't feel like we were going to score in that game. And Palace had some chances at 4-1 as well, and that's where it's a little bit of a worry. But I think we will respond. Obviously Phillips, Llorente, the most obvious defensive people we've got missing at the moment. Will they change everything? No, they won't. I'm not going to say they are. Will they improve things? Yes, they will. But what will probably improve things the most is just working out that system that works best for us off the ball. Do we man mark? Do we change to a double pivot? Do we keep with a back three? Do we keep with a back four? We've just got to work that out at the moment. And that's the thing. We're newly promoted in this league. This is a completely different league to the Championship. Teams carry transitional threat. Every single team at this level has a threat going forward, has someone who can score goals against you. We've just got to work it out at the moment, and I've no doubt we will do that. But we've got to avoid unacceptable capitulations like that one we had today. But guys, I'm going to leave it there anyway. Make sure you check out Joe's post-match review of the game. And yeah,